has got to be the one in G6, and the invoices have got to be due. If I press enter, I've now got only the one for Monica, but if I change it to Kyle, I've got the one for Kyle. Change it to Teresa or Teresa, whatever it is, then I get two of them. So two conditions, just like an ifs or a sum ifs or something like that, or a sum product. But we wrote it in a way that you may or may not have some experience with. So the multiply sign is our AND logic. The plus sign is our OR logic, if we wanted to say that or that. And we can learn the ins and outs of why that is, if you care. Otherwise, multiply is AND, plus is OR. Reason being that as these conditions calculate, they're going to bring back the value of true or false. That's just me pressing F9, if you wondered, to manually calculate it. Semicolon indicate the change in row. Then the other one's going to calculate as true or false. The operation's going to turn them into ones and zeros and perform that operation. So 1 multiplied by 1 is 1, i.e. it's true. Plus 1 plus 0 equals 1, i.e. it's true. So even if they're both not true, it still evaluates to true. Only if 2 falses fail, if that made any sense. But that's why we use either the multiply or the plus sign. Any value greater than 0 is true. I'll leave that criteria there on that. Oops. Oh, I left my plus in there, didn't I? So yeah, you see that works. Let me change that to the AND logic though. And so that's some criteria for now. Not getting too crazy, but pushing it a little bit. And I want to go back and add a sort function to this, because at the moment it's just in the same order as that list, I think. I'm not really looking at it too deeply, but what I would like it in is in the order that the dates are due. So the one that expired longest to go, I would like at the top. So inside that filter, I'm going to add a sort function, just like before. That will prompt me for the array I'm sorting. The answer to that is filter. I'll put a comma on the end, and it will prompt me for the sort index. So it's prompting me for an index number, just like VLOOKUP does with its column index. I want to sort it by the due column, which is column number 3 of that spilled range, of that array, whatever you want to call it. So I put a 3 in. I do have other questions here, like what sort order do you want? Is it ascending or descending? If you can see that on the edge here. The default is ascending, so I don't really need any of that stuff, although I could answer it. So I'll just backspace for now. Got other examples I want to try and get through. And I'll close bracket and press enter. And it's making sure it's in order by the due date. Maybe I've changed my mind and I want it to be in order by the customer. And if the customer's the same, then do it by due date. If I come back into that formula, where I have that on the end, tell you what I'll do. Let's just try and move this along a little bit. Then I'm going to open up some curly braces and I'm going to ask it to sort it by column 1, comma, then 3. Name first, then due date. Closing curly braces and a comma. So it asks me what order we want to sort them in. Now I do want them both in ascending order. So I don't have to answer this, it's going to do that, but I could open up some braces and say 1 for ascending, comma 1 for ascending, and answer it anyway. And all being well, if I press enter, Celia's jumped above here as I'm now ordering it by that first. And if I just quickly change that to a plus sign, just so we get more results, we can now see that it is in order by the customer first. And then I need some formatting there, and then the due date as a result of that. So multiple sorting levels through our formula, all added with filter, very useful. On the note of formatting, you have to do that your normal way, you know, select the cells and do that. There's no, that's an area that could maybe improved with dynamic arrays. Okay, everyone happy? I think so. I'm just
Are
moving.
there any questions? I think there were questions. I don't know if you want to ask some questions now before continuing, Alan.
I don't know. What do you think's best? Do you
I think Vivek had a question. I don't know if it is about what you just presented, Vivek. Is it something that you want to ask now? You can unmute yourself.
Actually,
Maybe it's easier.
I was going to ask, but he just showed the solution, so I don't need to ask.
Oh, great. That's how efficient Alan is.
I read your mind. That's what I.
Thank you.
So moving on to another example here, I want to hopefully try and see how the filter function and a few friends can help create a dynamic report. So I've got this list here. I've got the 12 months of the year repeated, got 3 countries, Canada, UK, Australia, got some products, got some categories, got some value of some kind of monetary value, I'm sure. I've taken the time to set some stuff up. I've got a sort and unique with a little drop down here just to save us a bit of time. And I've got a little drop down for product and category. But I want to create something that's going to look like a pivot table, if you want to use those words. I want to have the months along here, January to December. And then what I want this to be is either the product or the category. It currently says product because there's a little link to that cell. If we change that to category, it's going to say category. Surprise, surprise. And then what I want it to do is list the categories. So list whatever somebody shows there. So I've labeled that rows, so we can think of it like a pivot table. Instead of dragging, I'm going to pick something from a list. And then I want the money, basically. Now, pivot tables are great. I don't want it to sound like I'm beating down on pivot tables, but I've got a quick little pivot table showing the kind of thing I want to create. So we can remind ourselves that although they're amazing, they also at some point hit a brick wall. And yes, I can change the format of here, but we're constrained to some extent. And we get this silly row labels and sum of value. And, you know, I could type over the top there, yes, but can I delete the stuff in there? And then I've got this blank one. I've got this filter up here. I've got Canada and UK selected, but who knows? Hey, who knows? All I know is I've got multiple items. That's what I know. So, get some feedback here. We have some limitations. So, is anyone else getting that feedback?
It started. We started getting some echo.
Yeah, I'm hearing myself.
Yeah, I just muted the person. Go ahead.
Oh, maybe someone had joined and was unmuted, and that's the problem. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Alan. Sorry for that.
So, where should we start? Let's start with this category thing. So I'm going to use our filter function. Who saw that coming? Yeah, maybe. We all love the filter function. So I want it to either give me a list of the categories or the products, depending what somebody chooses from H3. So my array, what it's going to return. I'm going to select the product and category columns. I'm going to return from this area. Comma. Include. Which ones we're including, which ones we're returning. Well, it depends on that drop down. Always put your condition in brackets. And I want to test the 2 headers here, product category. And I want to know that they're equal to whatever's in cell H3. And I won't bother with that if empty malarkey. Close bracket for the condition, close for filter. And if I press enter, I've got a crazy big list. So I'll tell you what, let's go in and wrap that unique function. How many times have we done that so far? Function on that. And now I've got beverages and food. And if I change category to product, I get products. If I change it to category, I've got category. So now I'm kind of creating a row label, if you want to use those words. But I'm using a nice little drop down in a normal spreadsheet, no pivot table stuff. I've got full control over what I name these and what I format them as. Just by using our good old filter function. And you saw there that it was able to look along a row and perform that test. So we always think about filter. I don't mean a filter tool returns rows, it returns records. I just returned a column, a different column. It makes your head spin, eh? Crazy. Got filtering that's going to go along. We'll choose columns as well now. Horizontal or vertical, can do them both. Talking about that, I want months in a horizontal way. So let me put my unique function in so I can get a unique list of those months. Let's pick up the speed a bit here. Time is running. And superb. However, they're not in a row like I wanted, are they? I've got the unique months, but I want them along a row. So we need a function that can switch from columns to rows. I think some of you might know what this one is. Transpose, which is actually an array function, always has been, but awkward to use in old school Excel. So it never got a good name for itself. Here, we've got the engine. I don't need any Control-Shift-Enter stuff. I'll just wrap transpose around unique, and now I've got that flying off in the column labels to use PivotTables speak. So I've got the months, and I've got my products or categories. I now want to find the total for each. And I'm going to go back to a trusty sum ifs for that. I want to sum the value and the criteria. Now we've got 3 criteria here. We've got the product or the category. We've got the month, like Jan for a start. And we also have a country selector in J3. 3 conditions. What we also have to consider is that this could be product or category. So in some ifs, I can see product at the moment. I could go and say criteria range is product. Woohoo! But when somebody changes that to category, that's not going to work because it's looking at the product column, not the category column. So I need this to be a little bit smarter. So we need a function that can convert text, because I've got a little header here saying product in H7, and that happens to match the column header. Handy. We need a function that's going to convert text into a reference. Indirect. And I'm going to use this little table reference I've created. So the table's called data, open square bracket, literal string there. Then I'm going to put an ampersand in to concatenate the text that's in here, or up there in H3. Take your pick, choose your favorite, upset the other one. Ampersand, let's put a closing square bracket and get rid of that rubbish. So now I'm building together. Let's close off indirect before I forget. And look a plonker. We're building up our own reference here. Data square bracket, reference at cell, close square bracket. Indirect function is cool. From here on in, we're just smashing in the criteria like I've done once or twice already. Some ifs criteria. What is the criteria? It's coffee. Hashtag build range. Dynamic arrays. Comma, next up, let's do the month next. The criteria range is the month column. The criteria is Jan. Hashtag for a spilled range. Can go along a row or down a column, doesn't matter. Comma, next up, the region. Comma, that is in J3. And I've finally run out of criteria. I had 3, close off some ifs, press enter, and now we've got the whole lot in this spilled range. So even if I change this to category, shows the categories, change the product, get the products, Canada to UK, you know the drill, everything is dynamic. Little drop down list up here, but it could have been, you know, form controls or some other kind of interactive, or just a cell that people type something in. And I've created a pivot table or a two-way data table, a report, whatever name you want to associate with this thing, a model, all these words people use in different walks of life. But it's just some kind of output. That's what it is. And I've used dynamic arrays to do it. Yes. Now, I wanted to get a total up here and sell K3 for the country as well. And one of the reasons I wanted to demonstrate that is I want to try and get us thinking, especially for those of us new to this, that these dynamic array formulas, at the risk of stating the obvious, return an array. That's what they do. So here I've got filter on its own. I mean, technically it's with unique, but let's say it's on its own. So it just spills the array into the sheet, into the cells. But they don't have to go into cells. You could use these arrays to feed other functions, whether it's the table array of a VLOOKUP, or whether it's a median function, whatever it is. And that's where your mind really opens up and think, well, you know, the options are endless here. Because if I wanted to total for country, I could use filter. I could say that the array is going to be the values. I want to add up those values. What am I including? Well, the region has got to be equal to whatever country is in there. Close bracket for that, close bracket for filter. Now if I press enter, that's just going to spill because all this other stuff's in its way. But I want to add them up, so I'm going to wrap a sum function around them. Don't give that array to the sheet, give it to sum. Let sum add those up. There's my total for the UK. There's my total for Canada. So now filter is kind of doing the job of SUMIF. So I'm not saying I would have used that. I probably would have done a SUMIF, but I'm just showing that it can. And filter could replace VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, SUMIF. You know, it can do what all those guys do and more, because I just combine it. And what that also means is that although we get functions like SUMIFs, COUNTIFs, AVERAGEIFs, I could put any function here, hyperlink, mode, whatever you want. So it really is extremely versatile, is the thing for what you want to use it for. Everyone good? So happy to answer questions at the end. I know some of this might be a bit quick, maybe.
They have a bias towards action, immediate and massive action. We have to become comfortable acting quickly, even amidst ambiguity and lack of data and details. Just act. The sick are pouring through the front doors. Screw policies and protocol, just say live. Hashtag GSD. We only have 2 rules on our A team. And what I've described would be in alignment with rule number 1. I can't tell you exactly what that rule says. That's part of the secret handshake of being an A team member. Here's number 2, communication. With the battleground changing so rapidly, we have to speed up our real-time action reports, keeping everybody in the loop.
Okay. So I wanted to do an example of here is I wanted to do a dependent list. Something that I get asked a lot. It's one of my more popular videos on my YouTube channel as well. And in the past, I've used a named range and an indirect function to do that. So what I have, as you guys can see, I've got a list of countries. I've got some cities. I've already taken the time to do a sort in unique because we've seen that a few times. Let's not waste time doing it. And a little drop down list that's looking at that spilled range. What I want though is list 2 to only show the ones from Germany or whatever gets selected there. So I'm creating these lists right next door. You know, typically they'd be on a separate sheet that gets hidden and all that jazz. I'm sure you appreciate, but I just wanted to say, filter function, yet more that it can do for us. I want to return the city, and what it's going to include, well, it depends. I want to include the country. Everything's working off a table here, you probably notice. I could use a range, but it's so much more efficient to work with tables with our dynamic arrays to really make the most of that dynamic word in its name. Anyway, I want to reference whatever was chosen in list 1. So filter it out for only the German cities. Close bracket. I'm not going to worry about the if empty. Actually, I will worry about the if empty. I'm going to put in a comma and say, look, if you can't find anything, because maybe nobody used list 1, maybe list 1 is empty, then just return all of the cities. Close off the bracket, so I get just the German cities. But if I delete Germany, I get all of the cities. That was my if error scenario. Choose Belgium, just the Belgium cities. Let's go and create that drop-down list, data validation, list, reference the first one, put in the spill symbol, that hashtag, click OK. Now I have only the Belgian ones. If I change it to Ireland, I have that one Irish one.
Then they went into
change it to Portugal, just one Portugal one. So I've got one list that's dependent on another list. Something that was quite complex. I don't know if complex is the right word, but yeah, awkward in older versions. But when we get the filter function, so much easier. Just not really too tricky a formula to get that off the ground. And it's dynamic. If the list was going to grow as well, that would just automatically grow. Okay, got one last example if we're doing good for time.
Yes, please.
I want to do an example with a chart. So once again, I've got some products. I've got 3 places, 3 locations, and some values again. You can see the products are not all the same. So Toronto's got the product of chips, but then Stuttgart's got a burrito in there. They're not exactly the same products. And I think Toronto's got the most. It's got more products than the others. Anyway, now in this scenario, I want to return the product and the value. They're not next to each other. I've got city sitting in the way. Bit of a pest. So I'm not going to return them all in one go like I did in previous filters. I'm going to do a filter to return a product and something else to get the value. This also means that when it comes to a chart, I can keep them separate and use them in an axis or a values or however I want to use them. So I want to return the products for whatever's chosen in the location. No surprise, there's a drop down list there. Filter function. The array to return is the product. The criteria is going to be if the city is equal to whatever's in F2. Close bracket, not going to worry about the if empty stuff. I'll just get that done and return those products. So only the products for Toronto's returned, Toulouse, only the Toulouse ones, Stuttgart, and the Stuttgart ones. I now want to go and get the values. Now I'm not going to use a filter here. I'm going to go back to my friend SumIfs again. You can see I'm quite a fan of that one too. The sum range is going to be the value. SumIfs can be used as a lookup also. The criteria range, well, mine's beginning to go blank because I hit 11 o'clock. Completely forgot what I'm doing. The criteria range is going to be the product. Yeah. And the criteria, I'm going to reference the product here. Hashtag for the spill. Then I'm also going to put in the criteria that it's got to match the city. So the city and then the one in F2. Close off. And I've now got my totals. So you can see that's matching Stuttgart here, but using a SumIfs to do that lookup. And most importantly, keeping these dynamic arrays. Focusing a lot of time on filter, as the name of this session was promoted as, trying to get you to make it its favorite function. But also just getting used to the way we work here, where I've referenced a whole lot. I didn't reference pizza and drag it down. I referenced all of them. Now from here, what I want to do is create a chart from this. Now I could select that range and create a chart. That works fine. But it's not necessarily going to be dynamic. Is that not going to move? I don't know what's going on my screen there. Oh dear. Oh.
We can see your screen, Alan. I'm not sure if that's your struggle.
No, it's frozen. It's not letting me click anywhere.
Maybe
Oh,
you
but
should
we can see you
stop
move.
sharing for a bit.
Yeah,
Maybe you should
try
stop
that.
sharing.
What was that? Sorry.
Stop sharing for a bit and see if we'll come back.
Let's go for it. How do I stop sharing?
At the bottom in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay,
This
there
technology.
you go. Yeah. Now try again sharing.
I should have tried to use it in there first.
Because we could see you moving around the screen. It was not frozen here at least.
It won't let me click. So it's letting me move, but it won't let me click anywhere.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not sharing at the moment, am I? But I just want to try and get this.
Can you select another worksheet?
Fixed. Cool. Right. Teams. Okay, we're in action.
Great.
Everyone see my screen?
Yes, I can see it. Let us know in the chat if you can see it too.
That was fast and earlier. So I've got my chart. Yes, which is fine. But if I change Stuttgart to Toronto, which got more products, then you notice that chocolate is not appearing in the chart. See my dynamic array, but it's not in the chart. It stops at fried chicken because the chart was told to use this range. It doesn't know about these dynamic arrays. And what is a little bit of a shame is that we can't use dynamic array notation in the chart. I can't say E5 hashtag in the way that I did with formulas or the way that I did with data validation. Not all Excel features at the moment, assuming it happens, who knows, can accommodate that language. So we have to work around it. So what I'm going to do is create a couple of named ranges. I can use a dynamic array notation in a named range and then get the chart to use the named range. Just like those of you who are, depending how long you've used Excel, before 2007, we had to do that with things like data validation and conditional formatting. It wasn't until 2007 that they could work across sheets. So named ranges were our bridge. And now they're our bridge for dynamic array charts. So not everything has changed. So I'm coming into formulas and name manager. I've just given you guys an insight to my age, haven't I there? I've been doing this a while. I'm going to create a new named range. And this named range, let's call it products. And down the bottom, I don't want that one, I want that one. E5, I don't know how much you can see that, it's pretty small on screen, but I've put in my spill operator, my hashtag, from E5 all the way down, wherever it ends, whether it's fried chicken or chocolate, wherever it ends. I'll click OK, and I can see that in there along with my tables that I've been using. And I'll go and create another one. This one's going to be for the values. Values. Let me select the first value. Spill operator. So I've got one called values, one called products for each part of my chart. One of them's the axes, one of them's the values. So that should mean that hopefully now I can select my chart, come into select data, and edit these. So if I edit my axes labels, and I need to keep the sheet name in there. So I think charts operate at the workbook object level. So I've got my chart sheet, and then I'll need my named range. So what is this? This is products. Did I call it products or product? I could use my F3 key here.
Alan, sorry to interrupt you. I'm not sure if everyone is able to see, but for me, it doesn't show the named ranges window. I wonder if it's opening for you on another screen or something.
Oh, okay. Can you see the axes labels at the moment?
We can see the chart and we can see the spreadsheet, but not anything about named ranges.
Okay. Damn.
I'm not sure if that's the same for everyone. Yeah, Danielle is saying that she can't see the window either.
Same.
Are you sharing your desktop or are you just sharing just the one file? Maybe you need to share your desktop or if you have
I'm
double
sharing,
screen.
I'm sharing just the one file, yeah. So it might be that.
Yeah.
So yes, so if you can share the screen, the monitor instead of the window, then you will be able to show anything that you put in the screen.
Is that working?
Okay, there you go.
Hey.
It's good to know. I didn't know those things. So anyone new to Teams, this is all about things that we need to learn.
We're gonna be
Yeah.
team masters.
Yeah, so if you are sharing just the application window, these pop-ups won't be part of what you are sharing. They won't show up. So in this situation, it's best to share your screen and not a window, the screen or the monitor. Thank you, Alan. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No problem. So if I just go back a step, then in the name manager, all I did was I set up this product's name. If you can see at the bottom, I've just referenced E5, the first product with a spill operator, and then values the same thing. If you can see that, got F5 and then the spill operator. So 371 spill down. And I created those two names. So then I could select my chart, come into select data, and for both the values and also for the axes, if I edit the axes first, and I've got this in here at the moment. If I remove it back to the sheet name, got to keep that sheet name, and I can either type products or press F3 to get my name list and choose products that way, using my named ranges. Then for the values, if I edit that, delete everything up to that sheet, and that was called values. Let me type that one in. And if I click OK, I could see in the background it was working straight away. I can see chocolate now appears for Toronto. And as I select things from the list, whether it's Stuttgart, or it's Toulouse, or whether it's Toronto, you can see the chart is also dynamic. Doesn't matter how many items there are, it's able to pick that up. I could, yeah, I could take things a little bit further if I just wanted to finish this off. So, for example, I could improve the chart title. I could do a quick little legend up here, not legend, sorry, quick creative title saying total sales. And I'll put in my ampersand, I'll reference whatever's in the drop-down list. And let me put something nice in. However, I'm saying let's just throw in a little sum function and add these up. Once again, just excuses for me to show that spill symbol and this dynamic array notation again. I'm not going to worry about formatting that sum, that value. And then in my chart title, I can just reference that cell. So now I'll just take things further, and I've got that to be dynamic as well. And my sum's going to work because it's using the dynamic, like spilled range. And then for one final thing, if I can squeeze this in, maybe I want my columns to be sorted in order. At the moment, they're just in the order that the product names appear. So I'm going to change this area here. What I want, though, is I want to sort the products A to Z. Sorry, no, I don't want to sort them A to Z. I want to sort the products, but based on the value. I want the largest number at the top working down to the bottom. So if I go into that filter function, 2, maybe 3 times or whatever, we've seen the sort function so far. To throw another one in, we have one called sort by. What sort by lets us do is sort an array by a column that's not included in the array. So this array is just products, but I want to sort it by the value, which is not part of that array. So I'm going to choose sort by, a bit heavy with my click in there. So it prompts me for the array, and the answer to that is filter. That's what I'm sorting. But then when I put a comma, it asks me, so that's what I'm sorting, but what am I sorting it by? Now, the answer to that is the values. But I don't want to select all the values because I'm only sorting it by the values for what this returns. And that's a filtered list. So what I'm going to do is copy that and repeat it again over here. But instead of returning products, I'm returning values. So only the values for that city. Use those to sort it. I then get the option for sort order. I'm going to need that, comma, sort order, descending. Biggest to smallest, -1. I'm going to close off the bracket and press enter. Now I've got them in descending order, which now means that my chart is also in descending order. So it's always going to dynamically be ordered largest to smallest. So hopefully this is just a nice exposure to taking things further with charts. You know, you can't, pivot tables can't do that. Can't even use a scatter chart on a pivot table. But with this, I've got full control. I'm automatically putting it in an order. I've got a drop-down list controlling it for a filtering aspect. And I could have gone filtering crazy. I could have had 10 filters. You know, the power that's available and an OR logic. But also the size of it is growing and shrinking depending on how many products there are. So it's fully interactive and also dynamic. And I think that concludes my examples. So hopefully we all agree that filter is, along with some friends sometimes, will be the best function in Excel, everyone's favorite function.
Yes, I agreed. I like all the gang. I think this is just amazing. Yeah, we need to kind of shift our minds a little bit to be able to work with these functions. Yeah, and that's it. And I just see that my camera kind of switched to then another camera, so I'll be right back with the correct one anytime soon. Are there any questions or any comments? The reason why I chose the meeting setting for this event instead of the live event setting, it was so that people could interact, because if we choose a setting as a live event, it will be more like a webinar and people can only ask questions by typing. In this case, everybody has access to unmute themselves. So if you want to ask questions either on the chat area or directly to Alan, just unmuting your microphone, feel free to do so.
I have one question.
We cannot hear you, Vivek. You started, I have one question and then we stopped hearing you. I'm going to, anyone else? Any questions while Vivek is able to join us again? Somehow we cannot hear him. Anyone else?
Can I ask a question, Celia?
For sure. Thank you, Dick.
Alan, can you explain the version issues around these formulas, around these filter and unique and all that stuff, as to which versions of Excel will receive those automatically and which haven't yet?
Sure.
Or is it across the whole suite of products, which apparently it doesn't, because one of my machines hasn't been updated yet, and it's Office 365.
Yeah. Well, at the moment, they're only available, yeah, for 365, but it's only on the monthly channel. So if you've got
Is there a why? I mean, what is the reasoning behind that? I mean, if this is going to be used in Excel, it should be everywhere, I would think.
Yeah, well, For sure, I'd agree. I want people to get these as soon as possible. So for people who've got 365 on the semi-annual channel, it's going to come in a couple of months. I think it's July is expected, I think, but they won't be here yet. And you can switch to the monthly channel. I've done a blog post on how to switch from semi-annual to monthly, so we don't have to wait. But yeah, they've done it they've got 2 different update levels for some reason. You'd think it'd be nice that everyone got it at the same time, but no.
So really what you have to say is that if you have these functions, you should use them just for your own models, unless you know that your whole organization is on the same version. So you should be careful, that's all.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, backward compatibility, especially with the new functions. So when we're using the dynamic array engine, then they're just going to convert, like that array formula will just be converted to an old array formula, older version. Whereas if I use the filter function, those guys are going to get an error. Rubbish. So yeah, new stuff. So be careful who you're collaborating with. Cheers.
So that was my question.
He's stolen your thunder.
Looking good, Vivek.
Alan, I was thinking throughout your demonstration, all those ranges shrinking and expanding depending on the results. Do you have you tried anything with formatting? So I'm guessing formatting for now it's not dynamic. If you format a few cells, the formatting won't go along with the results of the dynamic formula.
You're right, yeah. So normally we have to, you'd have to format more cells than what you need.
Mm-hmm. But then they will show empty if you are not using them. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. So then you have to add other rules to hide them, which obviously you had to wait for a spreadsheet and stuff if it's a big one. So it's not the best, but that's what we've got to do at the moment.
And do they for example, number formatting the same? You need to go through the cells, the ones you think they will occupy, and it can take number formatting.
Yeah. So in one of my earlier examples, like the second one, you saw that a couple of the dates came in without a date format.
Mm-hmm.
So because I'd formatted some in advance, but I obviously missed those 2 out. So you'd have to do your normal format source jazz. Hopefully these are things that will be fixed, but I don't know. That's technical stuff for them to deal with.
And that everything is pretty new, and I'm guessing for me, for example, I haven't used them except for the first day. I realized I had them and I tried a little bit, but I haven't had the chance to work with them for actual projects. I think I will be doing that soon with a company that has Office 365, but that's it. So I'm pretty new to this, and it's just amazing to see all the possibilities, because you can combine not only the dynamic filter functions, but combine them with just the regular functions, let's say, or the old ones. So it's pretty amazing. I like the one, that last example with the chart and the title and all that, and the amounts, and very cool.
Is there any performance implication, like when you write an array formula? Because if you have lots of data and all, what is the advice?
There are. I can't remember exactly what the difference is, but I have seen it tested on Fast Excel. See the differences, but I know they weren't bad. I think if I remember rightly, I think on smaller data sets, like they actually ran faster than what a VLOOKUP can. But when the spreadsheet got bigger, then they started slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
But not as bad as the old arrays.
How about go ahead. Sorry.
So it wasn't. I don't think it was a crazy time difference from what I remember. They weren't that slow, they were just like a little bit slower. But yeah, there will be differences, you know. In
What about online version? Will it work on online or only desktop?
I believe it's online, yeah.
So it will work if you have Excel online, it will work on that as well?
Yeah, I'm 95% confident it's on the online one.
So then if company app has a Office 365, and if you upload and if they are accessing via online, it should be okay, right?
I believe so.
Okay. Can we,
but I think I've seen that.
can we consume after your massaging of data, like if you aggregated everything, can we consume that via Power Query? So as admin or maybe developer, you aggregate the data at the level you want and then allow other users to connect to your updated version of file.
Sorry, I didn't get that, Vivek.
So can you connect your, in a Power Query, you can connect Excel file.
Okay,
and Excel worksheets also. So is it possible to connect via Power Query to that data that you aggregated? Instead of, say you have 10,000 rows and now you converted that to maybe pivot table or maybe simple table with aggregation.
Okay. The dynamic array formulas won't work at the moment. They don't work in tables.
Not tables, but with a Power Query, you can go to the worksheet level, right? You don't need to connect table, you can connect worksheets also.
Okay, this is kind of, you can be asking a lot of things, but okay, so you cannot do a dynamic array and then take that into Power Query, but you can reference an entire sheet that has some dynamic array stuff on it and bring that sheet in.
That's exactly my question was. Thank you.
That's an interesting question, in fact, because if we are creating reports with a dynamic array function, and it gives us a range of values of data, so it's interesting to think, can we then point Power Query to a sheet that has a report like that and make Power Query recognize that range and bring that data and then clean that data afterwards?
So the reason I'm asking,
go ahead.
Reason I'm asking because you said that backward compatibility is not there. But as a report author, if you have an advanced version where dynamic array will work, maybe you can refresh it or maybe give them the aggregated data that they can consume because Power Query works on all.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that, the way, or certainly the way I view dynamic array formulas is that they're creating your output. So they're kind of like the end of the show, just like a chart would be. Like you're not going to do anything to a chart. The chart is the finished product. I think dynamic arrays are the finished product. Nobody's going to create Power Query off them or pivot tables off them. Well, that's the idea, that they're an alternative to those things.
The limitations.
Yeah, but they've certainly got the limitations, which hopefully will be ironed out, but yeah, we shall see. Early days.
Nice. Thank you. Any other questions? Any other comments? Feel free to join the conversation. Even if you want to ask something else related to the Meetup group or to the sessions, let us know. Now it's the good time to do.
Isn't this past your bedtime, Alan?
It's getting there.
I wonder if Vivek is obeying the lockdown because his hair looks too nice. I think he's been going to the barbershop.
No, this is just we are planning to go out, but not barbershop.
Oh.
That's not the right answer, Vivek. You need to say, you know, my cousin who lives with me is in fact a barber, so he just took care of my hair.
So, you know, I had to apply gel, otherwise it is long, and I don't want to be in a state where I wake up in the morning. So I know.
You just wear a hat like Oz.
And I see yours, you have a MVP jacket.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got a few of those, Oz.
Oh, there's Dick Moffat. Yeah.
Hey, Oz.
Oh,
Hey,
there's
that's-
Danielle.
Hey.
All right.
Hey.
Yes, and Sue and Grain and a lot of familiar faces. Thank you so
Grania.
much, everyone.
Grania
Yes.
is.
Yes.
Grania.
Thank you, Alan. That was fantastic. You've had a very big day. You've had a long day, I think, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
That's great.
Alan was presenting for Danielle's group in the morning,
That's
early in the
lovely.
morning for him,
Yeah.
and late in the evening for you, Danielle, right? Yesterday, it was yesterday for you. It was in the morning for
morning now.
Alan.
So
Yeah.
where are you from, Daniel?
Sorry?
Where you are located?
I'm in Sydney.
Sydney.
We're
Sydney.
all over. Yeah.
Yeah.
What time is it there for you, Danielle?
It's about 8 in the morning.
Yeah, so it's a good, not too bad.
Tomorrow.
I actually agreed to do one with Alan coming up for his one in London, but I didn't realize that the times had changed. So it was turned out to be 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
me.
and I woke up to attend one of yours the last week, and it was 3 a.m. for me. And then
Oh
I
my
thought,
gosh, you're so
I cannot do this. I registered
yeah,
for
that's
other. They
crazy.
were also interesting, but I just can't keep
Not
up.
that interesting. You know they're recorded, so you can
Yeah.
always watch
Mm.
them
I'll
later.
see if I can find the time to watch the recordings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sydney, the home of the great white ibis. Yeah.
Okay.
Those things are fascinating.
Yeah.
But y'all don't like them.
Yeah, it's going to be a while before you get back here again, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I got to
So-
see ibises again.
You won't let us in.
No, you don't let anybody in, and I can't get out either.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, we were
You don't
supposed
like
to
the
be.
ibises? Oz?
Huh?
You didn't like the ibises?
Yes, yes. I found them fascinating. Yes.
Horrible.
I
They're
took
like, they
pictures of
steal
them
your
and everything.
food.
Yeah, I saw
They're
that.
everywhere.
I saw that. Yeah. In Sydney, I saw yeah, they were all down in the garbage can and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like pigeons, horrible things.
What the heck are you talking about? Is that an animal or what? What is that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, with the long beak.
Oh, I see.
The
Ibis.
bird
Yeah.
has got
Yeah.
this long
Yeah.
curved beak. Yeah, it's fascinating. Walk around.
Yeah, one of the most famous videos of Oz is one where he mentions pelican pictures. So
Oh, right.
that's
Pelican.
that's where the fascination
That one.
comes from.
Oh my gosh.
So, Lilia, do you know what else for the members, like what other online event that are going on right now?
Yes,
That
So
they can
many.
Yeah,
I would
that's-
like to refer people to the London meetup that Alan, our presenter today, is the organizer. He runs the meetings. Go check on the meetup website or app, Excel London Meetup. There's some stuff coming on. In fact, I'm presenting on the 20th along with other two presenters. So it will be, this was supposed to be the day before the Global Excel Summit in London. That was supposed to happen now in April. And we had prepared a meetup session for the day before the event, the night before the event. So that's why it's a big presentation with 3 presenters. And then the event was postponed, of course. Now it will happen. It's supposed to happen in February 2021. But we kept, Alan decided, and I think, well, this is a good decision to keep the meetup going on. So we have that one, and there will be other sessions for sure. I will ask you to talk about that, Alan, but just let me also talk about Danielle's meetup group, very popular one. She just had over 100 participants this morning. She's more focused on financial modeling, but she brings other stuff to other subjects. So also, Danielle, after Alan, you can talk a little bit about that so that other people who might be interested, now that everything happens online, we can be everywhere as long as we set our alarm clocks to the correct hour. Yes, and the same thing with Toronto's meetup group. We are running, before we were meeting only once a month, and now we are doing it more often, almost weekly. Next week, we will have Oz with us presenting, right, Oz?
That's right.
From today. Alan, let us know what's going on, what's going to happen.
We can't have Vivek asking hard questions, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, though, you know, Vivek, he's part of the organizing team here in Toronto. And he has a long history as a meetup organizer. He's been organizing, directing the Power BI meetup group in Toronto for a couple of years now.
Oh, okay.
So he's a kind of our mentor. He knows all about this stuff. He's been organizing not only the meetups, but some huge events, boot camps and all that. One of the recent ones gathered before the lockdown, gathered more than 200 people full Saturday. So
wow.
But we'll block him when you speak, Oz.
Huh?
We'll block Vivek. We'll block Vivek when you speak.
Oh, Vivek, okay, right.
No.
Or at least mute.
Oz, you were there in Definity in 2019?
I was where?
In New Zealand, Definity?
No, I went to Australia.
Oh, okay.
Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and Perth.
Okay.
Yeah, and I met Danielle. Yeah. It took a picture.
Not this year, last year.
Last year.
Auckland, New Zealand, Definity organized by Razer.
Okay, Alan, do you want to present us a little bit of the meetup group in London and let us know what's going to happen next session?
Yeah, can do. Yes, as Celia said, just come and check out the London Excel meetup group. We've got 2 meetups arranged at the moment. We've got Monday the 20th with yourself, Celia, and also with Andreas Thejos, who's a German YouTuber, and also Tony Dionka.
Oh, Tony.
So they're the 3 presenters at what was going to be a big one in person with a lot of you guys there. You know, Oz and Danielle were going to be there in person.
Yeah.
But now we're online, so those 3 are still presenting. And yeah, and we'll see who turns up. And then on the 5th of May, I think it is. I think Danielle's gone, has she? But Danielle's.
No, I'm here.
Are you there? Danielle's presenting on the 5th of May.
Yeah, we only have, so Teams only lets us have, for the moment, 4 squares on the screen. I think the rule is the last 4 people who have spoken. I'm not sure if that's the rule. I know that they are rolling out 9. So there was a request on voice, user voice, with more than 30,000 requests, votes. People asking, we want to see more video tiles on the screen. So I guess now they are releasing 9 tiles, video tiles, but that gets a little bit confusing because you cannot see everyone at the same time. And especially those used to Zoom, Zoom shows more video tiles. Danielle, do you want to tell us about your meetup group and the subjects and going on there? All that interesting stuff.
Sure.
I'm wondering if Alan's shirt is a reference to the dynamic array.
It is indeed.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 All right. We
Very
got something
cool.
going on here then.
I have my spin operator on my shirt. Yeah, he's gone. No,
Okay,
Hi
Danielle,
there.
sorry about the interruption. Go ahead.
That's okay. Yeah. So I run the face-to-face ones in Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane, but we've just taken all of them online now, and there seems to be quite popular. So I've been doing them once a week. Next, so we did Alan's one was last night, so that recording is on YouTube. And next Wednesday, we've got Matt Allington, who's a Power BI specialist. He'll be talking about taking a P&L and using Power BI to create a profit and loss statement. So that's on Wednesday. And then the week after that, we've got David Benaim from Cambodia. So he is an Excel MVP as well. And he'll be talking about collaboration, which is very timely at the moment when we're having to collaborate, whether you use Excel, Microsoft Excel Online or Google Sheets, or just different tools from a sort of collaboration perspective. So those are the two that we've got organized now. We've got one in the wings maybe on project finance. So we're just kind of scheduling them sort of every week pretty much at the moment. And we had Chandu last week as well.
What's the name of your group, Danielle? It's Denise here.
Oh, it's just a financial modeling meetup group. So if you just Google financial modeling meetup Sydney, you'll probably find it. But there's a page on my website, which is plumsolutions.com.au/meetup.
Plum as in PLUM?
Yeah, PL. I'll just type it into the chat actually.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yes,
Thank you.
and I can also send an email to everyone after and include your meetup links and all that.
Because they come
And
from different
Alan's
meetups
as well.
Yeah, I've got a list of all the coming meetups on one page, and I've included yours as well, so that people can see all of the ones that are coming up just in one place.
And who's doing the Power BI sessions?
Matt Allington.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to get my XLOOKUP jersey.
I'm
Yeah.
about to hit, oh wow, I was about to hit you up, Oz, if you wanna do one for us sometime.
Oh, a jersey.
No.
A presentation.
Oh, presentation.
A presentation.
Yeah. Let me design a jersey. Okay, yeah.
I was just sacking myself up to ask you.
Oh, okay. You don't have to do that. I'm small.
Seems like a good time to ask.
Hey. Huh? What'd you say?
I'm going to stop recording now because
Right.
our session has ended. But
Now we can really have fun.
I have a quick question for Oz. Have you hosted a LinkedIn learning session before?
I thought I was going to stop recording, but I'm not sure if I can.
I hosted a LinkedIn Learning.
Have you done a LinkedIn Learning session? Somehow you seem familiar. I've watched one of your sessions on LinkedIn Learning.
Yeah.
Why isn't your camera on, Denise? Yeah. I've got 8 courses.
I have another session going on my other TV, so.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I'll turn on my camera just briefly.
All right. Hello.
I'm in Toronto.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Toronto. I was there for a few days a while ago, but yeah, I've got courses on LinkedIn and I've got the YouTube channel.